Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of CNE TV Interview Session, a program where we invite innovators, stakeholders, influencers in the blockchain, crypto, and fintech ecosystem to come air their view and matters arising in the ecosystem. So today, I have two great innovators in the ecosystem who are joining us from different locations. Let me first of all start with Joseph Robin, who is the CEO of Mandala Exchange. Thank you, Joseph, for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. So we have another popular face in the African ecosystem. He is Mr. James Hamilton Jr., co-founder of FlashCoin. He's joining us from Canada. Mr. James, you're welcome to CoinNewsExtra.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm loving what you guys are doing over there. I've always been a big fan of CoinNewsExtra for sure.
It's our pleasure. You are welcome. So today we'll be talking about the listing and the collaboration between FlashCoin and the Mandala Exchange. So we're going to be having some discussions around that, the recent listing and the rest of them. But before we go to that topic, I would like to get a background of both of you. Let me start with Joseph. Just a brief about yourself and your background.
Sure. So in about 2014 or so, I got into the space, as a lot of us did, trading, the various cryptocurrencies that were out there at the time, mostly Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum soon after the ICO. From that, I used my legal background and my legal knowledge of tech law, paired with regulation and compliance to work my way into the crypto space and blockchain space, working as an advisor and legal counsel for a number of companies and a number of tokens around the world. Actually, with Mandala, when we started in 2017 into 2018 with the first iteration of the company, I was the outside counsel as one of their head lawyers. In 2019, the company was kind of left for dead by the original founders, and I parlayed that into the chief executive officer position while still performing a lot of the legal and business background functions for the company. And we reformed. We said, listen, we can't let our ICO, token holders and investors in the project not be made whole. So we brought the company back under a new name, a new board of directors, no owners from the old company or founders from the old company were left, when we kind of revived the project. And from there, we've moved to a successful exchange with over 30,000 users. It's thriving, and that is powered by Binance Cloud, which I will explain later.
Okay, interesting. That's a very nice background. So let me hear from you. Although we already know, let's in case people who doesn't know you, Mr. James, a brief about you and your background.
Sure. Yeah. So my story is not completely different than Joe's in regards to how I began. I got involved in crypto this is going on my 8th year. So I was originally introduced to Bitcoin and another project called MadeSafe, which I was a big fan of. And I got involved in the ATM business, the Bitcoin ATM. We were the first to have the Bitcoin ATMs in Canada. It was actually 2 of my friends who started it, but I got involved and it was very exciting. And then we realized that, Bitcoin was slow and was only going to get slower and more expensive to transfer. So through Litecoin, we forked and built a new project called Flash. And FlashCoin's the quickest and cheapest coin to use on the planet. So we'll get into that later. But that's my background. I was involved in the capital markets before that for 25 years, in doing investor relations and venture capital for public companies that usually got traded on the NASDAQ OTC or small cap boards. And I had a lot of fun with that. And this was a natural transition. So I'm excited about the space. I'm excited about what's going on in Africa. And I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, we are excited to have you also, you guys, the both of you. So moving straight to the topic, talking about the listing on Mandala Exchange, I would like to, in case of our audience who doesn't know much about FlashCoin. So when you were saying about your background, you mentioned briefly about forking out from Litecoin. So what's FlashCoin all about? Could you just highlight some of the vision and mission of FlashCoin?
Sure. Well, FlashCoin is, as already, tens of thousands of Africans already understand, FlashCoin is originally created for microtransactions and remittance. because, you know, most cryptocurrencies, and there's over, you know, there's thousands and thousands of them. And when we first got involved, there was only around 700 tokens and coins that existed, but now there are over 6,000. And, you know, what is the purpose of those coins? Are they like the Mandala Exchange? Is there a token that can be used for maybe for getting better trading rates or for credits or some sort of bonuses? That's cool. But FlashCoin, we knew that for microtransactions, for smaller transactions, for people doing remittance, like sending money to your loved ones, things like, you know, bank wires, MoneyGram, Western Union, things like that take a long time and they're really expensive. So we found a solution to that and we created FlashCoin so we can do transactions, you know, send or receive in under 3 seconds anywhere in the world for virtually free. So that's why we created it.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, a lot of issues, challenges facing the ecosystem. So most of these bigger cryptocurrencies is this transaction fee. So it has been a very big challenge, and coming up with such a project will also be is a very good one. So let me move to you, Joseph. Could you just tell us brief about Mandela Exchange and what it represents?
Sure, absolutely. So Mandala Exchange is, as we publicly advertise, it's powered by Binance Cloud. What does that mean? That means that we work as the first privately held, non-Binance owned exchange. We're privately held by a parent company in the US out of Wyoming, as our board of directors happen to mostly live in the US. And we function in conjunction with the Binance Cloud developers and the Binance Cloud team to bring an exchange that's fully automated with Binance's technology, liquidity, order book depth, order pairs, so over 1,100 trading pairs, as well as our own custom trading pairs that we bring on, not only for our MDX token, our native token, which, as James alluded to, does give you rebates. There's a really good referral program. So if you and your friends sign up, you can share some of the trading fee rebates that you earn back through your trades on a monthly basis. But also we'll unlock such things as Mandala University coming up here, where we like to educate the general public that may not understand the full depth and breadth of cryptocurrencies and how the blockchain space works, as well as, you know, futures, margin, staking. That's all, unique to our exchange as well. And not to mention, our community is one of our best parts. When we brought this project back to life, the exchange, we relied heavily on our community, not only hiring from within, about 15 people from our community to do everything from marketing, business development, creative content, writing, graphic design, all of it. But we also relied on them to help revive it through a monetary standpoint by bringing in about 30 to 35 members that have equity stake in the company. So it really has been a true community project. And that's something that, you know, as a local African exchange, based in the Seychelles, we would like to, you know, bring this to the continent as our native continent and bring the, people on board in conjunction with FlashCoin to have a place to trade FlashCoin, when they are using it for microtransactions, if they do choose to invest in or use other cryptocurrencies in conjunction with, with Flash. So we see it as a beautiful partnership and a beautiful pairing.
Listen, let me come to Mr. James. Joseph, when he was talking, he made mention of Mandela being a community project. I know, I believe FlashCoin is also a community project. So with that, would you say it's one of the reasons why you chose listing on Mandala Exchange? So you are listing on Mandala Exchange, or what are some of the reasons? What are the expectations of the community?
That's a really good question, and thanks for asking it. Mandela is actually more of a friendly affiliation. FlashCoin has been listed on several exchanges, and as the crypto community might understand, is that a lot of them are hyperly overpriced, and to me it's perceived as more of a cash grab. So our community, because we have one of the more powerful peer-to-peer trading platforms inside of our app, a lot of people don't even use the exchanges. They have the coin because they received it in a payment. They received the coin as a remittance. They bought it from a friend, this sort of thing. But when they use the exchange, they typically take the coins off the exchange. So the main exchange that we're trading on currently is called CREX24. And it's hard to access for a lot of people in different nations due to the way they sign up process is. And Mandala is absolutely easy to get connected. It's people can log in from all over the world. Typical KYC, they follow the rules in every way, shape, and form. The login's really easy. There's a referral program that you can use. I've sent a link. You'll check in the chat there, Lee. There's a link there that all your viewers can use to open up an account, and they'll see how quick and easy it is. But it's also because of trust. One of the directors of Mandala is a large Flash holder, and he's been a big community member for many, many years. I don't know if we should mention it. Can we mention names on this thing? I guess. Yeah, why not? We call him Baz anyways. It's not his full name, but he's a super guy. He's really well known on the cryptocurrency circuit in regards to all the conferences. Popular guy, very talented, very intelligent. And he introduced me to Joe about 6 months back. Joe had said that they were doing a whole bunch of transitional work and they're working really closely with Binance. I got really excited. I said, let me go raise some funds from the community and get involved. And that's exactly what we did. So we're going to be helping Mandala in regards to marketing and promotion. Things like this, Lee, you and I met a couple of years back in Nigeria. We were on the road together. We had some good times, a lot of fun. And I don't see it being much different with Mandala. We're going to have a lot of fun together. We're going to educate a ton of people. The crypto university is going to be absolutely incredible. We're going to be teaching people how to do things right. So people have a great experience and crypto can expand, and FlashCoin will be a big part of that, especially in Africa.
Exactly, and that's what we stand for, whatever that calls for education, because we believe that what will bring mass adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain is proper education. So that's why whatever that is about education, we are fully into it. So let me get to you, Joseph. What would you say about listing FlashCoin on Mandala Exchange?
Sure. And there's one more thing I wanted to add to that before we go to that question is the beautiful part about being partnered with Binance Cloud is their security. So it's very important that everybody that uses our exchange understands that we operate under the same set of security parameters that the Binance.com and other Binance products do. So people can transact in a very safe way. They can feel okay about keeping their FlashCoin or any other tokens they have on the exchange. And there is really no threat to them of losing their investment or their microtransactions or FlashCoin that they've been paid for their hard work as a user of FlashCoin or as a business that accepts it. Okay, so Lee, let's get back to that question you're asking me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, now the question was what are the reasons listing FlashCoin on your exchange or Mandala Exchange?
Why? We're really excited about it because it brings a new dimension of token to our exchange. Many tokens they list because the obvious reasons. They want trading volume. They want a bunch of users to trade on the exchange. They want, and they just, it's a third or fourth really major exchange that they're being listed on. With FlashCoin, this is really a different play that I see because it's a different type of token, as James mentioned. The goal of it is not to just be traded on an exchange. It's to be used in commerce. It's to be used in conjunction with banking the unbanked. It's another form of payment for those that can't access a bank easily. And that's what I love about it, is that it's something that's going to be what we refer to as deflationary by nature, because I don't want a huge supply of FlashCoin on the exchange. I want people to be using it and to have an avenue to come to the exchange and trade it in for other crypto or for a fiat equivalent, maybe a Tether or a Binance US dollar, when they feel like cashing out. That's obviously for a lot of people in Africa, around the continent, that can't get to a bank or don't live around a city or don't live around a very urban area. This is the beauty, to give this alternative to millions of people to transact this way. And that's why I'm very excited about listing it on Mandala, because it's a different type of project for us and one that I really love.
Yeah, and that's very good. Thanks for knowing that. Okay, let me move. Still with you, Joseph. There is this, you're talking about Africa. You talked about cashing out for people who are not into the urban areas. What are your plans for expansion into the African region?
Sure. So we've been discussing that as well through James, really, who has a lot of connections with central banks and people in the fintech industry in Africa, and we are currently starting talks and negotiating with them to further implement not only FlashCoin as a currency, for the full continent, but also Mandala as the official exchange where FlashCoin can really be transacted with once, we were saying once people do want to cash out into other cryptos or even to a dollar or a national currency equivalent. So that's the plan for Africa, and to bring it on a local exchange that's housed on the home continent of Africa is really something that we're proud of, and something that we look to do, as well as the educational piece that James and I have alluded to. So the more people we can teach about transacting with FlashCoin, using an exchange, using cryptocurrency and blockchain to their benefit, that really is important to us as well as educators. And
I have to point out though that FlashCoin is not a currency; it's a community coin. So
right.
When we actually got first created, we had to do a bunch of things like something called a Howey test, which I'm sure Joe, as a securities lawyer, understands that we are not deemed money. We are a community coin. We gave all the coins away. We have a no action letter from FINRA and FinTrack that states that we are not money. We are not a security. So we're just a useful token that people can use. And as we grow in communities like Nigeria and Ghana and South Africa, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, all the other ones, and there's many, and we're building stronger relations in Uganda and Kenya. But everyone knows that this is a tool. It's meant to be sent and it's meant to be spent. It's not to be perceived as money. It's a tool that can be converted into money.
Yeah, I was trying to come to you, Mr. James. FlashCoin tend to have much presence in Africa. And what would you say about your collaboration with Mandela and Mandala Exchange expanded into the African region?
Well, first and foremost, I know that Binance has a massive, blanket over top of Africa, and I do believe that there's room for competition, even though they're not really competing against each other because they are paired and partnered in the powered by and the back end and all that. So, I do believe that people do need choices, and the convenience and ease of use. We're going to see some incredible customer support on the Mandala side. So it's that type of accessibility, and more importantly, I know that because of projects like yours, Lee, that there are a number of very, very talented projects in Africa that need to be, represented and showcased. And, the executive management team at Mandala understand that, you don't get there alone. And so as we step into each of these new nations, we're going to be able to bring on new projects and help nurture and grow, because even projects like yours, I've seen you grow from, a few people on a wimpy little website to become a little powerhouse. So, it's the ability to be able to come together, grow together. And the African continent is not just Africa. There's 80 plus countries in Africa, and every single country has its customs and traditions and languages and stuff like that. So, when I used to go to school in the United States, people would say, "Where are you from?" I'd say, "From Canada." And they say, "Oh, my buddy lives in Toronto. You might know him. His name's Steve." I'm like, "Well, I live in Vancouver, which is 6,000 kilometers away, right?" So, we're from a different tribe. Like Torontonians and Vancouverites are very, very different. So it's not much different than being from Cross Rivers or from being, from somewhere else in Nigeria. You understand?
Yeah, I understand that. It's a very good one. Trying to expand into the African market, and also there's something I want to talk about. Joe, when you were talking, you made mention that Mandala Exchange is running on the Binance Cloud, and I believe this may bring some perception that Binance is behind the Mandala Exchange. What would you say about that?
Sure. So like we were talking about before, we are a privately held exchange. So Binance does not own any piece of us. We are owned by an American company housed in Wyoming, but we also have our platform in Seychelles. So we have those companies working together, in tandem to bring the exchange to life, to fruition. And when we say we're powered by Binance Cloud, it means we have a team of developers that works with our developers to develop the exchange and build it out on the front and back ends. We have Binance's order books, liquidity, book depth, and security, like we were talking about before. But we are still privately held, and we actually list more tokens than Binance does because we bring our own listings on as well. So we actually have more pairs than Binance does. but we still have that, all those wonderful features that Binance gives the average user as well.
Interesting. Finally, before we draw the curtain on today's episode of CNN TV interview session, I would like to get away from buying FlashCoin and Mandala Exchange listing. Let's just look generally in the crypto market. Mr. James, how would you assess the current crypto market, and how do you see the future?
The crypto market in general?
Yes, and how do you see the future?
That's a very broad question. I think what's going to happen here in 2021 is, a lot of these exchanges that have tokens like Binance, Mandela has a token that's doing very well. People are going to start to get their head around the blockchain technology side, which is the distributed ledger technology. They're going to understand the value and security in that. And then they're going to start just naturally migrating to projects that make sense, projects that they can actually use. Is it fun to buy Elemental P coin and Wen Moon? And is that fun? Well, sure it is, but it's not sustainable. So I think what's going to happen in the crypto space is people are going to start doing some real due diligence. They're going to start being more learned in the space. And that's why the Mandela University is going to be very helpful. And what they're going to do is they're going to choose projects that they like. Like here in North America, there's a fellow, I think he's from Seattle. It's a men's suit store. And he used to buy these suits, and he said that something along the lines of, I don't just like these suits, I bought the company, right? So I think it's going to be the same for cryptocurrencies. If you use the token, you're going to have a stake in it. And the cool thing about liquidity and distribution is that when you've got a whole bunch of people using this product, it never ends up back on the exchange. It literally gets swapped back and forth from people to people. So if you look at a lot of these coins, people are purely buying them out of speculation. Like, it's fun, it's exciting. I got into crypto, I made a bunch of money. Woo! Well, that's cool. But what if the exchange got shut down? Because there's thousands and thousands of exchanges that get shut down. Now you have these tokens. What are you going to do with them? If you can't spend them, you're in trouble, right? So I've always had a saying that if you can't spend it, it's not real. You might remember that when I was speaking in Port Harcourt and Lagos and Abuja. If you can't spend it, it's not real. So when people look at the volume of Flash on any exchange, whether it's Mandela or Crex, or we were on Cryptopia before they got shut down, they see this volume and they say, oh, there's not that much liquidity on Flash, but yet we've done 3.5 million transactions around the world. Yeah, there's not much volume because when people buy it on an exchange, they send it to their wallet and they use it, right? You understand? So I think
yes.
Where to answer your question in completion, where do I see cryptocurrency going? I see a lot of people doing a lot more sound due diligence and getting involved in projects that are real, projects they can use, projects they can utilize. And then I also believe that the regulators around the world, whether it's Nigeria, South Africa, Canada, China, India, I think that the regulators are going to come in, swoop in like a bunch of vultures and grab anybody who did an IEO without proper due diligence, without proper paperwork. And they're going to be doing rescission offerings everywhere and saying, look, XYZ company, you raised $30 million. Where is it? Where did you spend it on? And if these guys are running around in Lamborghinis and summer houses, they're going to have to pay it all back.
Agreed.
Interesting.
Agreed.
So Joseph, what's your take on the future? How do you see the future of this industry?
I agree. I mean, with this bull run and this 2020 into 2021, we've seen a lot more mass adoption of crypto and blockchain technology being used around the world in a bunch of different use cases. I mean, we see decentralized finance. We see, staking, margin, futures trading, ETFs that have come out. I mean, there's so many, and like James said, so many sound use cases for projects that were really not there in the 2016, 2017 ICO craze, right? And then STO craze after that. Having worked as an attorney in that field with regulation and compliance, as well as business structuring, it gives me a really unique perspective into the industry and a different angle as a CEO of an exchange, because I worked in it in the regulatory side before that. So what I'm seeing now is, like what James said, more projects doing their due diligence, more token holders doing their due diligence. We can't really call them investors, right? Because they don't own equity in the company, but they are token holders. And people understanding what the value of a good project, like FlashCoin, like a Chainlink, like a Cardano, like a, projects that have a value and are bringing something to their user base, rather than the ones that are just silly meme coins that pump. And we, like James said, we are seeing that. We're seeing people make thousands of % ROI in like 3 days, 4 days with these tokens. But there are still those pump and dumps out there, and the regulators may be a few months behind, but there's going to be a rash of regulation that comes out into 2021, beginning of 2022, where a lot of these companies do get, shuttered, or they have to repay their investors, or, they get heavy fines from regulatory bodies. So I'm in agreement. With this mass adoption comes the obligation to educate. And that is something I'm very excited about. And I know James is very excited about, because we want these new users and this new user base to flourish and understand what has value, what doesn't have value, and, invest their hard-earned money wisely.
Interesting. It has really been an amazing and insightful moment with you. These two great innovators in the blockchain and crypto space. Thank you very much, Mr. James Hamilton Jr., for joining us today.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for joining us too.
Pleasure.
So what I think would be great is that all your viewers, Lee, are able to take that link that I sent you in the chat. They can log in with great ease. If they're speculators or they're going to be active on the exchange, it's probably smart to tuck away some Mandala coins, because they can actually bring their rate lower.
That's right.
To definitely keep their eyes open for the Mandala University that's coming up, to teach them how to be a better participant in the space. Because there's going to be a lot of people, especially in the emerging countries, that have just gotten a phone and just got turned on to some sort of crypto. And if they don't really know what they're doing, it is actually a volatile and dangerous place. Yes, it's fun when you're making money, but when it drops and goes the other way, it's very scary. But if you can spend it, spend it. So what I'd like to, really impress upon people when it comes to Flash and Mandala, we want to work with Mandala on as many things as we can, whether it's Flash related or not. But what I want to let people know is that when you go onto the exchange, think of, if you're in the crypto space and you decide to actually get involved and use, a token, go on the exchange, purchase it, send it to your wallet into a safe, if you're going to be keeping it for a long time, put it in cold storage. But more importantly, when you take it off the exchange and it's in your wallet, you go and spend it. Just like going to the bank. You go to the bank, you grab some cash, you stick it in your wallet, and you spend it. You don't go back to the bank with it. You spend it. So the same thing goes, and this is the mindset that people have to have when they're trading Flash on Mandala. You go onto the exchange, you purchase it, you send it to your wallet, and you go and use it. Now it's in the community. So what happens is, if you're a speculator, you have to realize that, what's the volume like? What's the liquidity like? Well, imagine if you're involved in a coin that's in hundreds of thousands of wallets around the world, and that float on the exchanges gets tighter and tighter and tighter. What do you think is going to happen to the price of it? I can't tell you, because that would make me a promoter, and I'm not a promoter, and I'm definitely not a financial advisor. But Correct. The point is that it's going to become more lucrative. That's a mathematical fact. So like I say, strap on your boots and get ready to get dirty, because it's going to be fun.
Yes. Yep. I agree.
Very nice.
The CoinApps Flash wallet on iOS. We have a web version, wallet.flashcoin.io, in many languages. You can click, there's a drop down that'll put it into the languages of a lot of native countries. And of course, Mandala as Mandala.exchange. And that link I sent you is a way to log in and get savings, and maybe share savings with your friends. So, everyone knows that CoinNewsExtra is the place to go in Africa for crypto news, but they know that because they're watching you, but we want them to watch us as well.
Right. If you'd like to join the Mandala Discord or Telegram community, they can. We have a very active community. Just type in the search bar Mandala Exchange, and it will pop up on Telegram as well as Discord.
That's very nice.